Hello, and yes, welcome back to another movie review, guys. Now today, continuing on the Marvel hype train that everyone's on at the minute because of the release of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Today I'm coming back and I'm not doing the next Marvel movie in my Marvel entry series of movie reviews, and that is Avengers Age of Ultron. So if you're new to the channel and stuff, basically what I've been doing is I've been reviewing all the Marvel films from Iron Man onwards in release order, but I am reviewing the new ones that come out, so all of the things that have come out from Black Widow onwards I have reviewed here on the channel, but all of the Infinity Saga films, I'm reviewing them all here in order at the minute, and we're up to Age of Ultron, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, Age of Ultron, this movie sees Tony Stark, Bruce Banner create a brand new villain for the Avengers to fight, and while Ultron comes alive and believes his only purpose in the world is to protect the world, Ultron believes that to protect the world, he has to destroy the Avengers and destroy the human race, and that the world needs to start over again. So pretty generic villain plot there, I guess. And our Avengers need to go up against him and stop him. Yeah, it's funny enough, I said this in my review, I believe. Doctor Strange in Multiverse of Madness, I was actually disappointed in this movie. But it's the first time I've been disappointed in Marvel since Age of Ultron. I remember actually walking out the cinema quite disappointed with this movie. And I think a lot of it comes down to Joss Whedon. I'm not a Joss Whedon fan. I don't really think anyone is anymore, you know. He's not a nice guy, clearly. But, you know, even back then, before all this stuff, the truth come out about this man, I remember, you know, just thinking, even with the first Avengers film, while I really like the first Avengers film, I think the things I love about the first Avengers film have nothing to do with the directing. I think the directing is the weakest part of the first Avengers. You know, the pacing isn't great. And here, I think it's the same. Instead of, like, having two choppy acts and then a really great act that you have with the first film, this one, it just all feels very kind of up and down, and I think that it affects the whole movie. And it's a real shame because the Avengers themselves, they don't really feel like the Avengers after the first act of this movie, and the film does open really well. The opening fight is great, it's choreographed really well, the effects are brilliant, and I love the dialogue during that fight. You know, they're kind of bantering with each other and stuff, and it works really well. And then we get the party scene, which is the best bit of the movie. I think everyone will agree. It's just fantastic to see these characters chill out and talk. The dialogue's really good. The acting's really good. And it works really well. And then Ultron comes into the scene, and certain Avengers take the spotlight and others take a back seat. So let's go through them one by one. Tony Stark, of course, he gets frontline. And we want him to get the frontline. It's Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark is just, he's my personal favourite Marvel character. He's the one that started it. Of course he's going to get a lot of screen time. And it works because he helped create Ultron. So, you know, of course he's going to get a lot of screen time. He's brilliant in the movie. And Tony Stark, easy, one of the best things about this film. And we've got Bruce Banner, who is also featured a lot throughout this movie because he is the other half which creates Ultron. And he is, you know, Mark Ruffalo gives a great performance, and Bruce Banner's really good. He's a really good character, really well written. I just don't believe the relationship that he has with Black Widow. And I guess we'll move on to Black Widow next, because she's also pretty good in this movie. She gets quite a lot of screen time, as you'd expect, being the only female Avenger. Sort of, you know, we get introduced to two new characters in this film, but anyway, we get to them. Yeah, I just really don't believe that relationship at all. In fact, it gets chucked out the window instantly after this movie. They kind of hint towards it in later films, but they never really fully address it again. And movies like Deadpool 2 just take the piss out of it. So I think it's kind of a known thing that it didn't work very well. And then we have Hawkeye, who really gets a bit of a bump up from the first film. He gets a lot more screen time in this one. And he's one of my favourite parts about this movie. I love the whole thing he has going on with the... Scarlet Witch in this movie, or sorry, Wanda Maximoff, sorry, she's not called Scarlet Witch yet, of course, but with Wanda and Quicksilver, I love his kind of banter with him. So yeah, Hawkeye was actually really good in this movie. Then we get to Captain America, who has a few cool lines. He has a bit of a cheesy kind of couple jokes in the movie. I love his suit, and I love the fact the way that his character's fighting now because of the Winter Soldier. But yeah, he's not great in this movie. He doesn't get enough screen time. He doesn't have a huge presence, which is a real shame because he's Captain America. He's the leader of the Avengers, and he really doesn't feel like the leader of the Avengers too much. And then we have Thor, who is... it's kind of laughable what they do with him in this movie. Like, he vanishes for half the movie. He just goes off and does a side quest which just sets up Infinity War and Endgame, which is it's a little bit embarrassing. I'm not gonna lie. His poor character, man, does nothing. He brings nothing to this movie. Nothing. Then we've got our two new characters, or three really. We've got Wanda, Quicksilver, and Vision. So we'll start off with Wanda. Wanda, you know, I know that she's become such a great character, and she'd honestly probably make my top 5 Marvel characters now. But with this movie, she's good. She's just good. She's not great. She hasn't come into it. I feel like Elizabeth Olsen really grew into the role actually in Civil War, her next appearance. Here it is just a very beginning stage of this character, which is fine. They all have to start somewhere. And she's sharing a film with the Avengers. Of course, she's not going to get loads of development in this film. But we do get there with Wanda, as we all now know. But for here, she's just good. She's a good addition to the team. Quicksilver, yeah, I'm not a big fan of Aaron Taylor-Johnson, I think is the actor's name. I don't think he plays this character very well. His accent's very off. And his death is hilarious. Like, he runs in front of Hawkeye to stop the bullets. And I'm pretty sure Quicksilver's quick enough to probably move them or move the bullets. But the funny thing is the way it's shot is the bullets come out the other side of him. Like, you can see blood marks going through both sides of him. So the bullets went through him and they didn't hit Hawkeye and the girl that Hawkeye was saving. Okay, so yeah, I'm not a big fan of Quicksilver. No, I am a big fan of Quicksilver. I like the character a lot, but in this movie, no, didn't work very well. So yeah, it's a real shame that this is the only Quicksilver we've had really in the MCU this far. Hopefully they find a way to bring him back. Hopefully different actor and stuff, but we'll see. And then Vision, Paul Bettany. Oh my god, I love this man. Vision is a bit boring and overpowered in this film, I find. But again, he's like Wanda. He's a character that has really grown on me over time. In this film, again, he's only in the last act, and he's sharing screen time with the Avengers. So, yeah, he really doesn't bring loads to this movie. He's very kind of flat. But you know, as I say, we do improve upon it. And then Ultron himself. Let's quickly talk about Ultron, because bit of a controversial one. I think this Ultron looks great. I want to say that, and I think James Spader's voice is perfect. He is so good. Spader, I'm so happy he did this, and this is why I keep wanting Ultron to come back in a more menacing way. Because after the version we saw of him in What If, I kind of want to see that version, much more menacing Ultron, with James Spader back at the helm. But yeah, he just has a couple goofy lines, which makes him feel a lot less threatening than he should or easily could have. So yeah, Ultron, bit of a mixed bag. There's some really good things with him. There's some things I don't like about him. So yeah, the plot itself of the movie, it's kind of dumb if you really think about it. It's the weakest plot of all three of the Avengers. You know, Ultron, I'm gonna raise this city out of the ground and drop it so it destroys the whole planet. Like, okay, sure. I mean, you're Ultron. You could just go into the internet and hack all of our weapon systems and stuff. But okay, just drop the city and do that. So yeah, the plot itself is kind of dumb, but we are watching a superhero blockbuster, so you know the plots aren't going to be anything too majorly incredible, I guess. But this is definitely falls down there on the weaker end of the MCU tier list of plots. The score I thought was okay. I thought the cinematography was good, but I thought the colour palette to this movie was really grey, which is a real shame because Guardians was so bright and vibrant. But, you know, this is a thing that the MCU was still in this thing here where it was struggling to escape this grey palette. But it does eventually, as we all know. So, yeah, it's a shame that this one, though, kind of, you know, it's an Avengers film. It's always a bit of a shame to criticise it too much. But, yeah, it was a bit of a grey palette, a bit of a bland-looking movie. And, yeah, I think my main problem with it is just the pacing of the movie. It's a very... I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it. It's a very weirdly paced movie. And, yeah. And yeah, that's about all I got to say on it. Very cool end credit scene as well. Very cool end credit scene. And I like where the movie ends up. I like seeing all the Avengers on good terms with one another for, well, we didn't know at the time, but it was really the last time we saw them all together properly until the final ever showdown. So yeah, that ended on a really nice note. So there's some really good things about this movie. There really are. There's some things I really, truly love about this movie. But then there are definitely some things which could have been better. For me, it's easily the weakest of the Avengers films. I'm really happy that Josh Whedon didn't end up directing any more of these films. But yeah, as I say, Avengers Age of Ultron, I'm going to give this film a 6.5 out of 10. It's a really good film. It's just a shame because all the other Avengers films get so much higher scores for me. It's a weird movie, this one, but nevertheless, it's a good one. So yeah, but anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like the video, leave a message, and as always, I'll see you next time for another video. Bye bye.